did this over and over.
And over and over.
And over and over.
Okay, Mary Comstock.
I would just like to reiterate that we did not dream that up. I know one of the council members brought it to us.
Yes.
I'm positive of it. I don't remember exactly which one. I think we should let this go to the voters. Let them decide.
Okay, Mrs.
True
Cronin?
democracy.
Dr. Cronin?
Yeah, I kind of agree because we got recommendations from council that was something we needed to look at. And I think we have to go back and think about something else. There's nothing to really, well, it may have something to do with this one too, but we took a document, i.e. the 4,000-page whatever, that was supposed to be antiquated. We were supposed to be bringing it to the 21st century, was what I think we wanted to have in our mind. And we didn't make a whole lot of dramatic change. If you look at what we did, the only things that were dramatic were the 3 or 4 things that came back to us. And I don't know about the rest of you folks, but I feel that I know we accomplished a lot. We really did. But most of it was semantical. Most of it was language, just changing a few words around. These things we dealt with here were the important pieces of the document. And now, people came to us and recommended it. We spent hours to ad nauseum saying what we should do, what we shouldn't do. Much of it was not, forgive my education piece, but research-based at all. It was opinion. It was past practice. And that's good, but who's to say it's always right? I heard several people tonight say, well, we're not ready for it yet. My question back to you is, when are you going to be ready for it? I'm getting old. I don't know about you guys, but when is Denver going to be ready for this kind of change? We're not doing change, going from a 2-year term to an 8-year term. I mean, we're talking 2 extra years. We don't get this panel and lots of people sitting out there said, gee, we don't get the people out to vote. We don't get a lot of people out to vote. What makes you think you're going to continue to get any more people out with a 2-year one? Much of our discussion was maybe with a 4-year we could get people more interested. We could get people knowing what's going on in their city besides that old word of political. We're just sitting there. Is the council afraid to move to 2 to 4? What's the big, I just don't feel it as a big a deal as they're making it now. It was what they brought to us. Now they don't want it. I think 4 years is a good time to change. I think time now is good to change. I don't see the big scare that I'm feeling lately about why they want us to keep to 2. I just think 4 is, and I think Danbury is ready for it now.
Okay. Thank you. Mrs. Mead.
I would like to agree and also like to point out that one of the things we talked about was the fact that making the terms 4-year terms would lend some importance to the office and maybe encourage the voter to think about who they're electing. When I work at the polls, as I do every 2 years, I am there and I listen to people as they come in and ask me, well, who's running for this, who's running for that, and I show everyone the signs with the names. Well, I don't know any of those people, but that's okay. I only have to vote for them for 2 years. And I hear it over and over. They don't care because they can get rid of them in 2 years if they do something they don't like. They're not paying attention to who that person is. Maybe if that person was going in for 4 years, they might pay a little more attention to who they're going to vote for.
Thank you. Mr. Buzade?
I feel, and I have felt, and you've all heard me many times, very strongly about a 2-year term. I think that it works in Danbury. I think that we've had great success. We've been well served by most of our politicians in Danbury for a long time, for generations. And maybe that is part of the 2-year term. It gives us a level of accountability every 2 years to change. It gave us accountability when we did well, I guess it was a while ago. We had a mayor who was under investigation. Before he was indicted, an election happened. He was out of office. He wasn't tried and he didn't go to a trial for many years afterward. But the city of Danbury wasn't operated under that shadow. We're recently reminded of other municipalities where they have a 4-year term where they could not get rid of their indicted mayors. I know I've made that point before. I feel strongly about the 2-year term. I think it's worked. I think the charter has worked because of the 2-year term. It's a fine balance in Danbury. The fact that somebody can say, well, we'll try you out. If you're not working out, in 2 years we'll get another chance to vote on you, I think is a good thing. Does it create a problem sometimes with continuity? I'm sure it does. We heard from the town clerk about her view. I know she swayed most of us in terms of her learning curve for her particular job. Danbury is a patient place. We've re-elected mayors in 2-year terms and give them a chance to get to know their jobs better. And right now, Mr. Chairman, I think I want to have a recess so I can get Mr. Turian from the Board of Tax Review up here to help us vote.
No.
I'm joking.
I'm happy to grant that recess.
See you.
Anybody else?
Thanks, Jane.
Mr. Swenson.
I'm in strong favor of the 2-year. I've never, ever looked at 4 years ever being even an answer to any of the questions or any of the problems, because 2 years is not a problem. The idea that politics is a definition out of a book is short-sighted. I think whenever you hear the word political, now the next word you hear is career. And the only thing 4 years does is sets up people with their own political careers. It makes it easier for them to have a, quote, political career. I am of the opinion, and I will continue to be of the opinion, that this is all a matter of public service. I see you guys grinding it out night after night, the Board of Education. It's public service. It's a public servant. This is not a place to create politicians or to create political careers. It's a lot easier to do it when you got 4 years. I see someone who's been on the fire department as long as I can remember. I see others who have served this city, and they ran every 2 years because they look at it as public service. The problem is that we are allowing those who want political careers to take over and run our town. And if that's what you think you want, then vote for the 4 years. But I'm telling you, it can't be looked at any other way. If you're a public servant and you serve the public, then what's the problem with going back and talking to them about it every 2 years?
Dr. Cronin.
I'm hearing a lot about accountability and getting people out and getting people in that are good, et cetera, and public service, and yes, that's what they are. We're all public servants. Damn it. Are you trying to say that if you do 4 years, you're not accountable, you're not a public servant, you're not a good candidate? See, to me, that they don't make sense. A number to a year should not have anything to do with accountability. Should not have anything to do with you being a good public servant to your constituents. I just want to see it that way. I may be looking from a different vein, but to me, accountability is accountability if you're in service for 1 day or 100 days. You need to be accountable. You accepted that job. So whether you do it for 2 years and be accountable or for 4 years, to me, those don't make sense. They don't need to be together. You took a job. You said you're going to do this. You're accountable for it. Makes no difference if it's 2 months, 2 years, 4 months, 4 years. You took the job. So explain to me what that means, because I don't get it that way.
How often do you review the employees of your school?
Every day.
And you give them an annual review?
Oh, we have to do more than an annual, yes, but they get.
That's what I'm trying to get at. When one of these guys goes out and knocks on the door, they're getting their review. If they only got to do it every 4 years, it's a lot easier than doing it every 2 years. Because I got to knock on your door and say, you know what? If I only got to do it every 4 years, it's a lot easier than if I have to come to see you every 2 years. Because
I understand what your point is there, but the point is you should not be waiting to the 2 year or the 4 year to knock on the door. They should be seeing your face every day. They should be seeing things about you. You don't wait till 3 weeks before the election day to say, you have to go knock on this door now. See, I think that's where the difference is. That's not my idea of accountability.
Do you really
I
think
understand, no, I understand what you, but
that they're going to come every 2 years and knock on your
well,
door?
obviously, they're talking before about some of the stuff that we were talking about here, and I know we have state statutes that bind our hands and so on, and we talked a little bit over there about 40 and 60 days, but then all of a sudden, well, you know, I really don't have to do that 40 and 60 because I can push this committee aside. So then, there you go. What are we doing this work for? Why are we giving them guidelines if, you know what, they can take and do what they want with it?
And you want that person in for 4 years?
No, see, my point is, try to get, we've got time to work to get the right people. And I think people get too complacent. Every 2 years, like you just said before, I go, who am I going to, I don't know. Some people don't come out 2 years, oh, I missed that? Oh, that's okay, it was only a 2-year thing, oh, they'll be all right, they're going to do a good job, but they don't even know what they're doing, some people. My point is, Danbury's ready for something else.
Mary?
End of discussion, I want 4 years then. Or, if you're going to do it my way, Commissioner had an alternative. I'd be willing to look at that alternative that you were talking about, and your Commissioner Kim talked about. I'd be willing to look at that. But if not, then goes in voters.
We'll come back to the alternative in a second. Mary?
Our council advised us that this question could be singled out, and we're 7, they're 21. We've all got different opinions. There's plenty of voters. I say we let the voters have the question. Let other people, let the majority vote.
Okay.
But then,
Let it go up.
But isn't that the same argument that Commissioner King made, that it all goes down if they don't split it out?
This can be split, we can recommend something, Paul, to the council.
And you
They
couldn't
don't have
recommend
to-
before?
They can recommend a 4-year and pass it to, and separate the question. They don't have to take our recommendation.
And you could recommend about the borrowing also, to split it out?
We could recommend that, yes. I think we're within
So
our...
then it doesn't have to
purview
take it all down?
No, it does not.
If we vote this,
Yeah.
we do have a motion? We don't have a motion.
No, I want to make a point when you
Before you
finish.
do, if we vote to keep it at 2 years, not change the language, can the council put it at 4?
We
control the language.
So,
And then it can go back to 2.
well, that's a
if they vote it
sticky
down.
wicket I find myself.
Yes, how about that, Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
We don't, if I may, what do we have to lose? What do we have to lose? We sent it to 4, they send it out, if it gets shot down, it's 2, that's it.
Mary, there is one other step in between. The Common Council can vote to turn down 4 years
That's fine.
and not present it at all. I mean, so there is a
Right,
check
so
and
that's
balance in this.
So that's what I was thinking, the
Yeah.
alternative might be an
Mr.
option.
Chairman, you know,
Mr. King.
if you permit me, in the Common Council vote on this issue was 12 to 7. But if we dissect that a little bit, 2 of the people who voted against the 4-year term appeared before this commission and encouraged us for a 4-year term. If you were to turn that around, the vote would have been 10 to 9 opposed to a 4-year term. I believe our vote at the time was something in the order of 5 to 4 in favor. The point is, whether it be this commission or the Common Council, there is a division of opinion on this subject. There's logical arguments for and against a 4-year term. Originally, I voted in opposition of a 4-year term because I thought the arguments outweighed the arguments for it, and that was a judgment. I respect the opinion of all folk. I believe that rather than us try to decide what is the best thing for the city of Danbury on an issue as important as this, I think it should go to the public. And I will vote in support of a 4-year term to send it to the Common Council with a recommendation that it goes as a separate question on the ballot and let the public decide. And in the end, if it gets to there, I will vote in opposition of a 4-year term because of the problems that we're faced with initiating that process. You know, it's a massive change that we're about to undertake. Changing the terms of the school board, change the amount of people that appear on that ballot. With the new ballot system we have, it's going to be cumbersome. The fact that, as with other cities, if they're faced with having to remove a mayor, there is no good process for doing that. If those things were fixed, those concerns were addressed, I would vote in favor of a 4-year term. But I think there are a lot of obstacles. So I am in favor, and I will vote tonight to to hold the language as is and send it to the Common Council with a recommendation that they split it out and have the public vote against it. Should the Common Council choose to ignore that recommendation, they are within their right to kill it. And the issue is done. So I see no reason for us to change our wording at this point.
Thank you. Other points of view?
I don't think we could have that, we're either voting for this recommendation or not. I don't think we can add anything to it.
What's the recommendation?
Was just as the council voted.
Right, and it is.
They move to retain terms of office at the current 2-year terms.
And what we're doing is we're recommending our exact wording right back to them. We're not changing anything. So we can do that, right, Council?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we can do that, Paul.
No, that's fine, but not the additional recommendation of having it split up.
No, we don't have to accept their recommendation. You mean to recommend it, split it up? No. They can bury it in there, or they can split it out. That's their decision.
Yeah.
My guess is they'll probably go with our recommendation.
Okay.
We leave it the same, but ask them to consider splitting it.
All right, let me ask you a question, because when we did this last vote, I think I broke a tie.
Yes, you
Right.
did.
To go to, thank you for your institutional memory,
Remember that.
Mr. Butay.
Yes, to go down and see the board technically, right?
So,
Forget it.
and when I came into this, I was sure I was for 4-year terms. I thought it was a no-brainer, and I was surprised there was any opposition. But then when we worked through this, and we found out that we couldn't come up with any mechanism for removing city officials, that was something that was a concern of mine. When I heard as much opposition on the council, that I was surprised by that. And we heard tonight from at least one of the members who originally asked us to vote for 4-year terms, and she explained why she changed her mind and came out against it. And I'm thinking that we can't impeach people. We can't, the city's not broken. Clearly, Danbury has worked very well with 2-year terms. And I'm trying to come up with good ideas as to why a 4-year term will make things better. And quite frankly, I haven't been able to come up with any. I don't think the public is going to be any better informed when they come, just because they're coming every 4 years rather than every 2. If anything, I think they're going to feel a little bit further removed. So weighing against that is, do we want to send it to the public? And I'm just wondering whether the public will then understand the complexities of this, for instance, that we can't remove officials. I would vote against it on a referendum. So the question I'm struggling with is, do I vote for it to send it to a referendum, even though I think it's the wrong idea? I just don't think it's right at this point in
You're not
time.
voting to send it to a referendum. You're voting to send it back to the Common Council as is, and their decision will be whether or not it goes to a referendum or not.
That's all.
Okay.
Right.
Then may we have a motion?
Well, I move that we go back to 2-year terms of office.
So that we accept the council's
Recommendation.
recommendation as is.
Yes.
That we go back to 2-year terms. The motion's made and seconded. Any more discussion?
Those are his 2 options, right? I mean, Bob put on here current wording, but let the public decide. Recommended 4-year terms for mayor, town clerk, and then keep the others. That's off the table.
Yeah.
So he's putting, all right, so,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I think
That
our
was just clarification.
I think our decision here is either we keep the language we have or change it to a 2-year term.
Gotcha.
Okay, and the motion is, if you vote in favor of the motion, it will be to accept the council's language that we stay at 2-year terms. So if you vote aye, we're staying at 2-year terms. So we'll do it by raising hands. All in favor of the council's language and staying with 2-year terms, raise your hand. 2 votes. All opposed? 4 votes. It will go back to the council.
No, we have to make a motion to send it back to the council, right? As is? the two-year term was defeated. Do we have to make a motion to send it, the original wording back to the council?
No, I think what happens now is I'm pretty clear about how you want the final report to read. And so I'll prepare it, and at your next meeting, you'll review all those changes and make and accept it. The chairman will accept the motion to accept or reject the
changes as is.
Yeah.
So it will be,
That's how we'll go.
it'll be a simple meeting next time?
It should be.
Because I can't be here.
Great. Any,
Could you hold on?
I'll be at the semifinals.
you're all done? We're not going to have Joan?
You're not going to have Joan.
We're not going to have Joan to kick around anymore.
Exactly.
Well, what Monday do,
Could have gone to.
okay. Is there anything else that needs to come before us besides setting our next meeting?
Yes, apparently, I need to add to the agenda the issue of chief of staff or administrative assistants.
Oh, that's right.
Can we do that?
No, but he said we have to put it in a separate.
I have to do a new notice, if we're going to address that.
Is it,
What you could do is you could frame your notice more generally to say, discussion of final report. And then that'll be our conversation.
yeah.
If anybody is going to speak about that issue.
Don't laundry list.
Don't be so specific.
Good point.
Do we need to, or can it be ignored? Or can we not ignore it?
You know, if I just put.
Is it fair to say, Mr. Chairman, that the commission has dealt with all other recommendations made by the council?
All except that one. So can we deal at the next meeting with that specific?
Provided it's properly
You know what,
done.
I'll give it to you.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Does the
Maybe you better look at it.
council have to be back here again? Does the common council have to be here again?
No, I think that's a pretty clear recommendation.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Understandable.
Can we get out calendars? What, can we,
You thought you already gave
The
us
ninth.
one.
You have
We have
the ninth.
noticed a meeting and reserved a room for Monday, March 9th.
Here it again.
oh, so we're here at 7 PM.
Right.
Again,
Perfect.
Except
All
the-
right.
still.
But Joan can,
What?
Any other discussion?
She can't come.
who can come?
I won't be here on the 9th. I will be at the Big East semifinals.
Oh, you bummer.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
The motion's been made that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Second. Any discussion?
No way.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye, aye, aye.
Sorry, kids. Opposed?
Liar. You're not sorry.
Peter?
We have to call it to order and do it officially. Peter, do you want to read the minutes or just approve them?
Yourself at home,
I don't really want to read them, they're really
Okay.
long, aren't they? From what
Yeah,
lying on the floor.
so if there's no corrections or
We're
additions.
down to no subs.
Nobody else comes?
Yes. What do you got, 5 we can play?
Yeah, we've been told we have a,
You're gonna have to be point guard.
all the work is done, so I think we're down to the point that we've got who we've got. Technically just 7 o'clock, I think, right? So
Is it?
7:05. All right, I'll call this meeting to order if I may. Would the secretary read the roll, please?
Sure. Robert King.
Here.
Mary Cronin, absent. Mary Comstock.
Here.
Paul Swenson.
Here.
Joan Mead, absent. Ed Corian, absent. Carlo Morano.
Here.
Present. Okay.
Okay, and everybody received a copy of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, we will accept them as read. Now's the time for public comment. Mr. Brooks.
behalf of the public, because we've gotten to see it on TV and in person, thank you for all the work. It was mind-boggling how much effort goes into this, and I noticed Mr. King's going on in his public service right away, but we do appreciate the fact that although everybody has their own opinion, obviously, the fact that people spent so many hours brooding over it and thinking about it and actually not just doing things arbitrarily, so it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from the public would like to address us? Mrs. You may do it right from there.
You're talking about the vacancies on the thing. They've had vacancies filled all the years I've been watching the council, back since '91, without too many problems. So hopefully you don't make too many drastic changes to it. You just kind of stay with the sweet and gentle stuff of the number of days type of thing. But
I suspect
I would like to
that's
see
where
there
we're
be a way that an independent could get on there also, but I don't know how to do it. So even when you run, it doesn't do any good because you can't garner enough votes. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Would Mayor Boughton like to address us?
I would, Mr. Chairman. I just stopped by, this is the second time I've had the opportunity to address you folks. Once a year invitation now at your last meeting, and I did attend all the public hearings with you as well to listen to the public and provide some comment. But I just want to stop by to thank you for all the work that you did over the last 16 or 17 months. It's been a really exhaustive process. I think you've done a really marvelous job at dissecting really is a constitution of our city, if you will, and it's much, much appreciated. I will tell you that I'm also proud of how nonpartisan this group really has been. This has probably been, and I mean no disrespect to any of our volunteer boards and commissions, but one of the hardest working groups I've ever seen, and certainly the fact that you've been able to put aside any political things, but just kind of debate the issues on its merits. And there's been really good, positive conversations about the pros and cons of a lot of stuff that you talked about. And it didn't break down along party lines or whatever. It broke down about what each person thought was best for the city, and that's what charter revision is supposed to be all about. So I just want to thank you for that. And I also just want to note it for the record, because sometimes this process has been maligned, I think, really unfairly, that this particular commission is operated with the utmost of integrity, that no individual or person has influenced the decision-making that's going on in here. This is only the second time I've been here, not that I didn't want to be with you, but I just I wanted you to make your own decisions. And so I think it's important that as you all walk out of here tonight and present this report to the council, that you recognize that your decisions were based on what you thought was best for the community and whatever position that you took on whatever the issue of the day might be. And that's something that each of you can hold your heads high for. I'm also doubling each of your salaries, so you're all set there. It's an exciting time for you. And but I did want to just stop by and say thanks. I really appreciate it. Rick, thank you for the work that you've done, kind of shepherding this whole process. And you've probably written a million different drafts of language on this project, and it really has made a difference. You guys, if adopted by the voters in the fall, will be the modern day, kind of creators of our founding fathers of our city constitution. And that's pretty cool. You're going to be able to say, I did this. And I know that document inside out. So congratulations. Great job by everybody. And we'll bring it to the council tomorrow night. I really don't know what some of the outcomes will be on some of the stuff, but I think in general, the council will be very supportive. And I know on behalf of them, I know Joe Cavo's here too, and we want to say something a little bit later. I just want to say thanks for everything. So keep up the good work.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Mark, if you could, just a minute or two, just one, having done this now and doing this for 16 months, it doesn't look like we have a big group here, but we had most everybody virtually every meeting. And we really did do I think a very nice job without getting into the partisan side of the politics, which I thought was interesting for this building. But I specifically want to thank Rick, because this was a non-starter without his work. I mean, he really guided us through it and gave us the legal opinions. It couldn't have been done without it. But everybody on here carried their weight in some way. And as you know, I'm in the stock market business. This was a bad year to do what I do for a living without Bob and without Peter doing their stuff. They did the work of the chairman when I couldn't be here. So we really had a lot of people that did great things, and we had a great group. But the one thing that struck me as I got to the end of this was the courage it took for you to do this, because you've handed a political issue into the next election if people choose to make it political. You didn't have to do this. This charter wasn't up. There was nothing wrong with it. And you could have just not done it at all. So I was pretty impressed as I got through this and I realized you were really opening up a Pandora's box, so to speak, and could perhaps be handing people political issues that that you didn't need to do. So I was impressed with what it took for you to even organize this thing for us. So we had a good time. We think we did good work, and we hope we haven't laid any landmines for you as you move into the
Mr.
future.
Chairman, as I move into the election cycle, I'm going to tell folks to go and vote your conscience. We're asking you what you think. It's not about what I think. It's not about what you think. It's not about what the council think. It's about what the electors and the voters of this city want and what they think. And they'll certainly speak through their vote on election day. So that's democracy. That's the most basic thing that all of us strive for. So good job.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much.
It wasn't doable without you, no question. Okay, agenda items.
Well, we have the final report.
Yeah, Rick, do you want to lead us through this thing?
Here are your copies. I brought a few extra. 3 and 2. And here are the summaries.
Boy, this is really hot off the press.
It is hot off the press.
Yeah, if anyone's cold, I'll grab a copy. Did you guys all get summaries?
No.
There wasn't much to change in the summary. I added the reference, perhaps prematurely, to 4-3 dealing with Chief of Staff, which I've yet to vote on. But I made an assumption, and if my assumption proves to be wrong, then I'll give you corrected pages. But all right, let's
So you,
walk
in
through it.
this document is included in here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Joe might want to sit there.
Last time we met, you addressed 7 items. 6 items with the Chief of Staff. That makes a total of 7.
Right.
1, the length of terms you chose to leave alone. So that knocked that one off right off the bat. The first one I believe you had substantive review of was 3-4.
Oh, yeah.
Public speaking. Let's take a look at that one. And I corrected the typographical omission so that now, as you'll see towards the end of 3-4, there's a reference to residents or taxpayers. That was the way you had voted.
Yes.
And I deleted the reference to authorized representatives.
That's how we
Everybody
go.
all set with that one?
We're all set with that one.
All right, the next one was 4-2, dealing with donations. It becomes 4-1, but you should be able to identify it starting at the bottom of page 12, the draft. And as you'll see, I think we discussed it briefly in any event. There were no changes to the language that I presented to you last time, which included the addition of services and the addition of an aggregate $1,000 trigger in any one fiscal year by any one donor.
So just as we're clear on that, we can accept, the city itself can accept more than $1,000 in aggregate in any year, but it requires the approval of the council.
That's correct.
Okay.
And any series of gifts can be accepted up until the moment when a gift exceeds $1,000 in the aggregate
From one particular
from
donor.
one donor in a particular year.
That's 4-1, you said.
4-2, bottom of page 12 is where it starts. Was 4-2. We propose that it be changed. Deletion. The next one you considered was vacancies, 2-6. And if I recall correctly, you voted to take no action to change this
Or
language.
change.
Yes. In other words, leaving intact the language in your draft report. And just to complete the record, my sense is that the confusion, perhaps, and maybe that's the wrong word, that existed with respect to this language is somewhat improved or ameliorated by virtue of the fact that we've deleted some language in here that really related to 4-year terms when there were no 4-year terms. But in any event, it certainly is clearer now that there is no either or, it's just a period of time, namely 60 days is what we're proposing. And that's the period of time that the council has to fill a vacancy. The next section you dealt with was 7-8. That relates to sewer and water improvements.
So essentially, we're back to the original language of the charter.
You're back to the original language of the charter, with the sole exception being that we changed the title of the Common Council amendment. And similarly, there was a deletion of the reference to public improvements in 7-10. The next, and perhaps last section that you modified was 7-10, dealing with borrowing.
Peter, this is our last chance to put a percentage basis in here. Now, think long and hard about this.
You're out of order. You weren't recognized by the chair.
Mr. Chairman, can
Nor
I
will you
address the
be.
commission?
Any questions on any of this so far?
No,
Looks good.
that looks good.
That's it.
So the only matter we have to vote on then is
The chief of staff.
the title, the position of chief
Yeah,
of
and that is
staff.
section
4-3.
4.3?
Is that the only place it's in there?
It's on the, it's our, the soon-to-be 4-2.
Yeah.
Bottom of 13.
So that's just a change in the title.
Wouldn't we love to take a lot of this stuff out of here? TikTok.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that the title of administrative assistant be changed to that of chief of staff, as it appears in what we've now renumbered to be section 4-2 of the charter.
Okay, motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded. Discussion? As you know, this is making virtually no change other than a name change. And we've had administrative assistants, and we've had people that use the term chief of staff. No other comments? Well, then I'll try your minds. All in favor of this motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Are there any, do we then need to do we need to approve the entire draft at this point? Peter, would you like to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve the final draft report, or the final report as prepared by council dated March 9th, 2009.
Okay, second?
Paul?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, this report represents the culmination of a lot of work on everybody's part. I want to thank you for serving as chairman and guiding us along this path. And while I may not agree with all the changes that were made in this document, I do know that my voice was heard. I believe, I think it was considered, and it was debated. And I thank you for helping that along in that process.
Thank you. Any other comments or?
Ditto.
Well, Dr. Cronin, you weren't here. The mayor did come in to thank us, and, well, but I did let her know that I thought everybody here should serve on other boards and commissions, because the fact is, this was an easy board to work with. There were no problems. Some members of the public seem to be a little nettlesome, but we'll let that slide. But I do want to tell you, this, I think we did a great job, but more importantly, everybody here carried more than their weight and helped a great deal. So it was easy to run it, and people picked up and helped a great deal. So it was fun. I'm never going to do it again, but I would certainly be.
You have all this
I would certainly be
leadership.
more than happy to do this to work on other things with any one of you at any time. So thank you all very much. Any other questions or comments about this?
Joe Calvo.
Joe, did you want to say anything to us, or were you just witnessing history?
Thank you very much again. Thank you for all your efforts, as I said last week. It's not an easy job, and I know from where I sit at times it's definitely not an easy job, and I know the position you're in, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you putting yourselves forward and accepting this and doing this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's easy to do it when you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Just a question. The next step in this, that it's being presented to the Common Council tomorrow night?
That's correct.
Are you going to have a letter of transmittal to go along with it, Mr. Chairman?
As a matter of fact, I have a draft letter here that I thought I would hand out, but we should approve this first.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Any more discussion on the document itself? Seeing none, I'll try your minds. All in favor of
I think we already
approving?
did that, didn't we? Take a vote?
No, we did not.
No, we did that on the changes.
Beg your pardon.
So this is our final draft. All in favor of approving this draft? March 9th, 2009, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Remember I told you how people helped me out and get through this, as busy as things got? Mr. King helped draft a letter that I partially edited. If this makes sense to you, we take no pride in authorship other than, so we will take your inputs, but this would be the letter that we would send along to the council and to the mayor. And I hope you don't mind my edits on it. And the reason we need to do this is, I do need a signed letter that this has to be signed in order to send it along. And since their meeting is tomorrow night, we better get this done now.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to belabor this point, but the last sentence of what is the second paragraph of the letter, therefore we recommend the question of 4-year terms be presented to Danbury's voters at the election, and that we let the voters decide the fate of this issue. I think that sort of goes beyond the purview of our commission as it's authorized under the statute to act. I mean, we report back to the appointing authority, which is the council, and it's the council that decides how to ship things off and package it. I just don't think that's an appropriate recommendation to make.
Is that right? Okay. Anyone else?
I would question why. Why is it not appropriate that we make a recommendation?
It's open for discussion. Shall we recommend that it go to the voters, or
I think that, it is something that we can add perspective to as to, our thought process. And I think that was really some of the remarks made at last week's meeting, that some of the commissioners felt that it would be well to place it in front of the public. It certainly is the council's within their authority to decide however they want to proceed with the 4-year term. They can reject it entirely, or they can spin it off as a separate question. And I think that's what we were trying to get here, was our thought is it should be spun off of the, we're not directing them to do it in a way we're suggesting they do it. If the language sounds strong, then I think, by all means we should change it. But I think the idea should remain, Peter.
Any other questions or comments about that? Paul?
I think Peter's right. I don't think we technically have the ability as a commission, the legal ability, to suggest or recommend. All we had to do was put on their recommendations. Also, I think it can be viewed as that we gave up our right to decide this issue, and we just said, oh, we're going to punch this pilot this thing and send it off to you guys. And I don't, and in that respect, I think it goes to, it takes away from whatever work we did on this issue. And I don't mean that with any disrespect, because I understand the idea and the thought of the recommendation, but I think it's passing the buck. It's what it looks like to me. And I know it wasn't intended that way. But I think we either stick to our guns, you stick to your vote or you don't stick to your vote. And I know this kind of makes us waver, and I don't think it supports what we did.
I agree in a sense that it makes us look like we're not going to decide it at all. It's too much of a, you know what I mean? It makes us look like, I agree with Paul. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have a couple other things too.
Keep going.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines up from the bottom of the first page. The commission believes those issues.
Uh-oh.
All right, there's one.
There's some commas missing too, but we'll get back to
And
that.
on the second page, 3 lines up from the bottom, there's 2 periods after there.
Well, our secretary would correct all of those things once we got this to its final form. If you were...
Oh, we were just talking about content? Okay.
Yeah, no. I will say I was trying to edit it, and I ran out of time because I had a flat tire on my way home tonight. So, all right. Peter, do you have those corrections? Because where's the those? Because I do...
I know where it is.
Have we decided, though, what we're going to do with regard to this term thing?
No, I don't think we've decided that yet, but do we need to do it by motion, or can...
No, I don't know that we need to do it by motion.
Well, this is a letter, it's an enclosure.
It's just, yeah.
So what difference does it really make?
I mean, the fact is...
It's really coming from you.
Do you feel strongly? Because I would
I hear what Peter and Paul are saying, and I am sensitive to that. With regard to the legal issue, I don't think there's anything legal or illegal about recommending to the Common Council that this is what we suggest. It's a suggestion. It's not a...
There's nothing legal or illegal about it.
Right.
It's just my point.
Yeah, it's just how you feel about it. I wouldn't want to come on, as strong and almost dictating to them. That's why I said if there's some other way of phrasing it. But I would rather eliminate it than create that impression.
Yeah.
I would just prefer to eliminate it.
Let's strike that then. And the fact is, having spoken to some members of the council, I think that they're aware that may be one of the options that they have. It may be a standalone.
So we crossing off from therefore?
Therefore, we recommend that the question of 4-year terms be presented to Danbury's voters.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
Are we still in contact?
English is my second language.
The commissioners wish to thank the Commonwealth.
The commission wishes, and the commissioners...
wishes.
Right.
Either one, okay.
Commission wishes or the commissioners wish.
That's your mistake.
Make up their mind.
Hey, last week I had a chef here instead of the chief of staff, so
right.
I'm improving.
This is getting better.
I'm a terrible,
Making that mistake?
I'm a terrible typist.
What happened? I mean, yeah, I know. Well, the other thing I would do is, I would like to list all the council, all the commission members. And I didn't get, like I said, I didn't get to the second page at this point. Okay, any other changes? Grammar?
Well, you were talking about the word recommend, and your last sentence says, hopefully the change is recommended here. So are we saying something that we're crossing out and then still saying it? What do we do with it? These are all recommendations to begin with, aren't they? The way-
So we take out the word recommended, changes herein will provide the necessary tools for its government to meet.
And you got it
Where are
also
we?
in the first
We're in
paragraph. You got
the end
recommend
of the
all over the
last.
document. Fix it.
Man, I'm sorry. Man, I'm sorry we went down
You're
this
taking it out
road.
of one place, you
You
either
know,
have to
people
take
wanna
it out
go
or put
home.
it in there.
We don't need recommended today.
First paragraph says, the common council accepts those it's from them.
It's from them. They
Yeah.
sent us the recommendations.
All right, is there anything else that you want to change?
Council's
I
up.
want to go home.
It's all recommendations. I recommend
good?
you go home.
All right,
That's it with those changes?
yes.
Fine.
Anything else we need to do? Mr.
I want to say one thing. I am most proud of the preamble. I think Mary did a wonderful job.
Absolutely.
And then Rick, you did a great, everybody, but I'm really proud of that preamble. I'm really good.
As I said, everybody here did a great deal. Some people...
The council needs to address us.
Uh-oh.
This document that you've been working on for 17 months or so primarily arose as a result of charter revision back in 1977. It was at that time that the drafters thought it a good idea to create a full-time, the position for a full-time attorney for the city. Up until then, corporation counsels and the assistant corporation counsels were all part-time. That was me. I started here the following July. In July of 1978, I was hired by the current mayor's father, Donald Bowden, when he was mayor. And it started, for me, a 30-year exercise in the review of the document that you've been looking at. Some sections I admired, some sections I didn't understand. Some sections were incomprehensible. But overall, I think it was a good document. It was a document that I grew to admire in its simplicity, really. It's a relatively short document, as you know, given the challenge that it faced that became obvious to you over 18 months. And so this was my first chance, really, to take a somewhat active role in trying to improve on it. For 30 years, I made notes in the margins of this document. I still carry around this hideous thing. And looking back on them in preparation for your meetings, it was almost, not to sound too terribly maudlin or anything, it was a walk down memory lane to try and recreate for myself the tensions that caused me to write in the margin. And I just want you to know that for me, it was an extraordinary opportunity. And I got a chance to work with an extraordinary group of people. I think you all came to the table here with, an understanding of what this document was, even if you didn't understand the nuts and bolts of it. But over a period of more than a year, you grew to understand this document better than 99.9% of the people in this town. And the consequences of what you did will stay for beyond the next charter revision, because the changes, they're that good.
You did a great job. You were extraordinarily thoughtful. The conversations you had over what bonding limit ought to apply in this town, being torn by people who, in their hearts, felt that it should be not this way, but that way. And this and that didn't always agree. And you struggled through that. You thought through that in a dignified and really an admirable way. I really enjoyed it. I admire time and effort and intelligence you brought to this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Rick, one of the questions always in my mind was, I wonder what Rick thinks of this. I didn't realize that you were the first corporation counsel in the city, and that you had that intimate knowledge of this. But it was clear that you really knew the document. And most of us, what we struggled with, not having been involved in city government, some of us have been on Board of Ed or some commissions, but not in day-to-day operations, we really didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, and we really didn't understand, I don't think, how to go about doing this. And you clearly had that, but you never let us know how you felt about the things we were doing. So as much as you knew about it and understood it, you would have probably been the best person to be on this commission, and yet you didn't tell us you really should be doing this. And so you really were an honest arbiter in this. And as I said before, it wouldn't have happened without you. So thank you. Very nice. If you're praising us.
Great career.
So next 10 years, and you look at 9 other...
That's right. That's right. You'll be doing it next.
We'll be watching the Yukon.
Is there anything else that needs to come before this commission?
No, only I will file this in the city clerk's office, in the town clerk's office tomorrow morning. Both.
And the requirements for my signature on something, or can...
No. Of a letter.
Just this letter? But we're not going to have a clean copy of this.
We'll just type it and leave no signature on it. We'll just put your name at the top.
We can do that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Great, because I thought last time they
No,
go...
that's okay.
Good.
I'll sign it. She wants me to sign
I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Mary Comstock, a second?
Nobody's going to second that. We want to go forward.
Yeah, that's, motion's been made and seconded that we adjourn. Any discussion?
It's been a pleasure.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.